The cafe smelled of fresh bread and roasted coffee beans. She sat quietly in the corner, a gentle smile on her face, hands wrapped around a warm mug. Outside, the city moved fast, but in here, time felt still. Then the door swung open. Heavy, boots clattered against the floor. A uniformed cop walked in, scanning the room until his eyes locked on her. His smirk widened. Without a single word, he stepped forward and tipped his coffee cup, spilling the steaming liquid across her table. The cup rolled to the floor, clattering loud enough to make heads turn. She didn't flinch. She didn't speak. And then, the door opened again. A tall man stepped in, his presence sharp enough to cut the air. Her son. In the next 5 minutes, the officer's world would turn upside down. He moved quickly, but without a single wasted step, cutting across the cafe until he reached her table. He crouched slightly so his eyes were level with hers. "Mom?" he asked softly. "Are you okay?" The room was so quiet that even the sound of her breath felt loud. She looked up at him, still calm, but there was a faint sadness in her eyes. "I'm fine," she said gently, "but he disrespected me." The man's jaw tightened. He straightened slowly, now standing face to face with the officer. His height and presence made the cop take a small step back without even realizing it. The air between them was heavy, like the moment before a thunderstorm. "You think this is funny?" the man asked, his voice low but carrying. The officer scoffed. "You her son? Then maybe you should tell her to mind her place." A murmur rippled through the cafe. People turned in their seats, their eyes darting between the two men. Some reached for their phones, recording quietly from behind their cups. The son didn't react right away. Instead, he studied the cop with a steady gaze that made the man shift uncomfortably. "What's your name?" he asked finally. The cop folded his arms. "You don't need to know my name." A faint smile crossed the son's lips. "Oh, I will know. In fact, I'll know everything about you in less than 2 minutes." With deliberate calm, he reached into his coat and pulled out a black leather wallet. When he flipped it open, the metal inside caught the light. The shine was unmistakable. The officer's smirk faded. "Special Agent Marcus Hale," he said, his voice firm. "Federal Bureau of Investigation. And you just committed assault on my mother in front of a dozen witnesses and multiple security cameras." The officer's jaw worked as he searched for words, but none came. His eyes flicked toward the door, toward the people holding their phones. Marcus took a step closer. "I'm going to give you a choice," he said, his tone deadly calm. "You can walk out of here right now and wait for internal affairs, or you can stand here and make this even worse for yourself." The cafe manager appeared from behind the counter, clutching a small USB drive. "Agent Hale, I've already saved the security footage," he said quickly. "You can have it." Marcus nodded once, his eyes never leaving the officer. "Good. Thank you." The cop swallowed hard, then muttered, "This is a misunderstanding." "No," Marcus cut in sharply. "This is accountability. Something you've been avoiding, I'm guessing, for a very long time." Silence filled the space again, the kind that made every heartbeat feel louder. Slowly, the officer turned and walked toward the door, the weight of the room pressing down on his shoulders. When the door closed behind him, Marcus pulled out his phone, dialing quickly. His voice softened when he spoke. "IA, it's Hale. I have a case for you. Officer in uniform, badge number coming your way. I'll send the video." The conversation was brief. When he hung up, he turned back to his mother. Her eyes glistened, not from fear or sadness, but from pride. "I told you," she said quietly. "Never let anyone take your dignity. And I'm glad you never forgot." Marcus smiled faintly. "You taught me well." Around them, the cafe slowly returned to life. People whispered to one another, some nodding toward the quiet woman who had sat through the entire ordeal without losing her composure, and the son who had turned the tables in minutes. Outside, the officer stood on the curb, phone pressed to his ear, his voice low and frantic. But deep down, he already knew. His career had just taken a turn it would never recover from. And inside, the woman took another slow sip from her mug, as calm as she had been when the day began. Because she knew exactly who she had raised, and so did everyone else now. Moral: never mistake silence for weakness. The quietest people often have the strongest allies.